Wingspan has gained critical acclaim since its launch in 2019, now on its 7th reprint. It's currently sitting in the top 20 ranked board games of all time on Board Game Geek with an overall score of 8.1. Now I gotta be honest, I didn't pick this up at launch because frankly, it's a game about birds. I mean, look at my shelves, come on. Maybe if they were zombie birds I might consider it, but yes, I finally gave in. And I wanted to just see what all the fuss is about. I mean, I do actually like birds, and card games with birds. Not like that though, birds are rubbish at card games. I'm James Bruce, you're watching Tabletop Dungeon, and this is Wingspan, designed by Elizabeth Hargreave and published by Stonemaier Games. It's a relatively simple game about collecting birds, and it plays in about an hour to an hour and a half. As ever, I'll be splitting this review into two parts. In the first part, I'll look at a rules overview and how to play the game, and in the second part, I'll get onto my thoughts. If you'd like to just skip to that second part with my thoughts on the game, then skip ahead to the timecode listed on screen now. Otherwise, keep watching to find out how to play Wingspan. Set up a standard game by giving each player a game board, shuffle the various card decks, then deal everyone 2 bonus cards, 5 bird cards and 5 pieces of food. That's 1 of each type. Put the rest of the cards back into the card holder and deal 3 face up to the tray. Lay out the bird food, your dice tower feeder in the middle with all the dice rolled and ready to go, then assign 4 random bonus chits to the end of round bonus card. Players should discard 1 of the bonus card and then choose up to 5 of their 5 bird cards to keep. However, for every bird card you keep, you must pay 1 of your starting food, such that when you start the game you'll have a combination of 5 items of bird cards and food. So for instance, 3 food, 2 bird cards, or 3 bird cards, 2 food, and so on. Players should then choose their bag of action tokens. There should be 8 to start the game with. And then in turn, each player will take 1 of 4 possible actions. The first possible action is to play a bird card. Place 1 of your action tokens in the thin row at the very top of your board, in the respective column where you'd like to play the bird card. Your first bird in each environmental area is free, while every subsequent bird will cost 1 or 2 eggs. More on eggs later, but most birds will also have a food requirement that you'll need to pay. Some have multiple foods, indicated with a plus symbol, while some have a choice of foods indicated with a slash. If a circle with all the different colours of food is shown, that means it's a free choice. Some peculiar birds don't even need to be fed because they feed off the remains of others. Each bird also has an associated environment in which they can live, either forest, grassland or wetland. Again, some have a specific preference, while some can live in any environment. It's also worth noting that different birds are worth different number of points, indicated by a number followed by a feather symbol. Most birds will also have a special ability indicated on the bottom of their card. More on these later, but not all birds will have this. Some may have a one-off bonus listed instead, which you get when you just place the card. Pink banding on the special ability indicates something that will trigger on other people's turns or in between turns. Once you've played that bird card, you're done. Move your action token all the way to the left to indicate that you're finished. The second action that you can take is to gather food. And this is done in the first main row of your board, the forest environment. Place your action token to the right of any bird cards currently living in that environment. You'll notice that there's a number of dice icons displayed in the food space, either 1, 2 or 3 dice. And this is the number of tokens, food tokens that you can take from the bird feeder. As you can see, placing more birds into the forest environment means that you can take more food. So you're effectively building an engine as you play more birds. Now you can only choose food that's currently in the bird feeder. The exception being that if you're down to 1 particular food type only shown, or 1 dice only, then you can re-roll all of the dice and choose again. But if the type of food you want isn't currently in the bird feeder, you can't take it. So remove the dice that you want and then take their respective tokens and collect them on your board. So once you've chosen the food, you can move your token to the left, and if you have any other birds in that particular environment, you can then perform their special abilities, any brown special abilities that are listed on the bottom of the cards in turn, moving your token left every time you do so. So for instance, if you have 3 other birds in the food environment, that's potentially 3 more special powers that you'll be doing. Now, these are optional, you don't have to do them, however, they're usually beneficial. Of course, if you have multiple birds in that environment, then making use of all of their abilities is a key part of the game and building your engine up. The third action you can take is to lay eggs. Again, same principle applies. If you have any birds in the grassland environment, place your action token to the right of those, and then you can take the specified number of eggs. Now, these eggs will need to be played immediately onto any birds that you have on your board. However, birds can only hold a specific amount of eggs in their nest, which is indicated on the card. Again, move your token left to do any special powers, and keep going left until you've finished that action. The fourth and final action you can take is to draw more bird cards. Again, same principle. If you have any birds already in the wetland, then place your token to the right of those and take the indicated number of bird cards. You can either draw from the 3 face-up cards that you can see, or you can draw randomly from the draw pile. Note that you can't play these birds immediately. You would have to take the player bird action in order to do that. This action just lets you draw more bird cards into your hand to play at a later date. Again, move your token left and perform any actions you want from the brown powers listed on your wetland birds. The round finishes once everyone has taken all of their available action cubes to perform an action. And at that point, you're going to look at the bonus tracker and see what was having bonus points for that particular round. Now, there are 2 sides to the bonus tracker. The blue side is a little bit more beginner friendly and just assigns points to everyone who's done that particular bonus, while the green side is a little bit more competitive and who's ever done the most will get the most points. So you can see in this example that the number of eggs in the forest area is the bonus for the first round. Now, to assign those points, you're going to take one of the action cubes from every player and place it in the appropriate space. Of course, this means that in the next round, they have 1 less action to take, until in the final round, they only have 5 actions in total. And that's pretty much it. Once everyone's taken their final round of turns, tally up all the points and see who's won. The core of the game is really simple, really, and when questions do arise, it'll be over specific bonus types. Things like, do bonuses for specific nest types also count when it comes to a bird that has the star nest type, meaning they can nest anywhere? Yes, it does. Or do bonuses that apply to birds that eat specific foods count if the bird can eat any kind of food? No, it can't. But honestly, these situations are rare. And once you've got one player at the table who knows all of the nuances of the rules, it shouldn't be too much of a problem. Anyway, on with my thoughts on the game. Wingspan is simple to pick up, but hard to master. It feels a lot like a gateway game, but not quite. In fact, if you buy the current edition, you'll get a starter set of cards and cheat sheets for new players, which gives a specific card set and food items to start with, along with prescribing your first few turns. And it's a really great way to teach the game. It is really easy to teach though. I've mostly been playing 3 players with my wife and an elderly friend of ours, and she picked it up pretty quickly, though admittedly she hasn't won a game yet. So optimizing your bird engine, synergizing your bonuses, and learning to really take advantage of the powers that you have is the key to winning the game. Aesthetically, it's gorgeous, as you'd expect from a Stonemaier game. You have these wonderful little coloured eggs. The cards are gorgeous. They're really thick linen cards. The game boards themselves are thick cardboard, though you can also buy fabric, sort of player mat versions if you'd rather. And you even get this cute little bird feeder dice tower. Also, props to Stonemaier Games for including these little plastic component trays in the box. It really makes setup and tear down incredibly easy and keeps the box nice and ordered. As well as this plastic card tray for laying out your 3 cards and then keeping them ordered in the box. All of this really great. As for the artwork itself, it's suitably wonderful, realistic bird drawings of hundreds of American birds, though you can also add European birds with the European expansion, and just out is also an Oceania expansion. If you'd rather add some of those in, though, note that these add into the main game, they don't replace them, so you can't only play with European birds. If you have any interest at all in birds or learning bird names, then I think that alone is going to tempt a lot of people into buying this game, or if they saw it on your shelves, they'll want to play it. It's a great hook, especially for people who aren't really into the typical board game sci-fi or zombie tropes. I mean, as far as bird games go, I'd rank it right there at the top of all bird games ever made. It is, however, very much the definition of a point salad game. Points for birds, points for eggs, points for food on top of birds, points for cards underneath bird cards, points for bonuses, points for end of round bonuses. Oh, the winner really isn't clear until you tally up all of the points at the end of the game. And in most of my games, it's been sort of 3 or 5 point differences between winning and coming second. If you really can't stand point salads, then stay away from Wingspan. The whole bird thing doesn't really extend thematically beyond the aesthetics, though. I mean, it really doesn't make sense that you're trapping birds in your private little garden, and that in order to have more than one bird in a particular environment, you need to steal eggs off of another bird to tempt one in. Beyond just the bird names or the actual Wingspan statistics listed on every card, there's really not much educational value to it. There's no other realism in terms of environmental or ecosystems like you'd get from a game like, say, Evolution. I mean, you could probably reskin the entire game as something like a time traveler who goes through time collecting celebrities for his interdimensional museum, and in order to get a new celebrity you have to steal a BAFTA award off of another celebrity and then tempt them in with that, because obviously all celebrities want awards. It really doesn't make any sense, and you shouldn't go into this expecting any deeper sort of bird gameplay other than pretty pictures on the cards. But look, if you enjoy birds and you like point salad games, Wingspan's perfect. For me though, it feels like the amount of skill that you can bring to the game is somewhat capped. Every turn feels like it has an optimal move, and beyond that it's really just luck. Particularly the cards you start with. All other things being equal, if you've started with a bad set of cards that really don't synergize between the bonuses and the bird cards that you've been given, while another player of equal skill has got a bonus that relates to their cards, they're probably going to win, purely because they're getting 5 to 10 points from one particular bonus card. In truth, my wife has won most of the games, and when I have won, it feels really down to luck. If you start with some good bonuses, play the game right, then you're almost guaranteed to win. If you start with some bad bonuses and still play the game right, you're probably going to lose. And that for me is a bit of a deal breaker. On the one hand, that element of luck really makes it a good gateway game in that everyone has a chance. On the other hand, the game has just enough skill to it that anyone new to the game really doesn't stand a chance. In the end then, it just ends up being a game of luck between anyone playing that has experience and understands the general concepts of engine building and point salad games. For that reason, ultimately, I think Wingspan is a pretty flawed game. For me, it's firmly in the territory of a family board game. But don't get me wrong, I love it and I'll play it if anyone else wants to play it. So there isn't much depth to it, but it's accessible, it's gorgeous, and I think the bird theme will bring more people to the hobby, and that can only be a good thing. I should also mention that for those reasons, I haven't wanted to play it as a solo game. Though, like most Stonemaier games, there is an Automa mode included for solo play. But again, I haven't tried it, so I'm not going to comment too much on that. All right, that's it from me today. I hope you've enjoyed this review or found it helpful in some way. If you have, please do click like. I know it seems like a really silly thing to do, but it absolutely helps the channel by telling YouTube that this video was good and should be ranked a bit higher. Also, do consider subscribing for more board game reviews. I don't post that often, so don't worry, I won't be flooding your homepage. Until next time, I'm James Bruce. You've been watching Tabletop Dungeon.